Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, She Got Options. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a trading pattern called the cup and handle. Now, the reason I decided to do this video is because I am currently reading a book called How to Make Money in Stocks by William J. O'Neill. This book comes highly recommended. A few people have recommended that I read this, so I did start the other day. And in the book, he talks about the cup and handle pattern, and he goes into detail on his requirements of what makes a successful cup and handle pattern. So as I'm reading, I had decided to go through some stocks, look at their charts to see if I can point out some previous cup and handle patterns. And as I'm going through and I get to CVX, which is Chevron, I notice that it appears to be forming a cup and handle currently on its weekly chart. So I said, well, this might be a good time for me to test this strategy according to his requirements in the book. Now, he talks about patterns in actually trading the stock, like buying shares of a company, waiting for it to go up and making your profit. Now, for those of you that don't know, I trade options in the stock market. So I will be using this strategy for trading an option contract. So those are two different things. But when you're doing option contracts, you just essentially need a direction of a stock. You need it to be going up or down, to trade a call option or a put option. So in the cup and handle pattern, it has potential to break out to the upside. So this will be a good opportunity for me to do um, a call option on Chevron and even a nice swing on this stock. So that's what this video is going to be about. I'm going to go over some of the things he said in the book, and we're going to compare it to CVX. And if everything lines up, and next week I'm going to be watching this chart really closely, and if I do see that it is going to break out according to some of my rules as well, I'm actually am going to take a nice swing position on this stock. If you follow me on my Instagram, I will update you all, whether I took the trade or not, if it was successful. So make sure you're following me on Instagram. If you're not, my Instagram is in the description of this video. And I'll link it somewhere on this screen. So, all right, let's get into it. So like I said, Chevron appears to be forming the cup and handle. Now, a cup and handle pattern is basically it's like it's like a U shape, like the shape of a cup, and then it has the handle, and then it would break out to the upside. Okay, so some of the things that he talks about on his pattern. Now, first of all, he is talking about this pattern on the weekly chart. So we are on the weekly chart. And one of the things that he says is, that these patterns, they typically last 7 to like 65 weeks. So if we look here, we would start here and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So currently it's been forming for 10 weeks. So it meets that criteria of 7 to 65 weeks. So another thing that he says is the correction from the top to the bottom ranges from 12 to 15%. And it can also go anywhere upwards of 33%. So the correction, when you're talking about a correction on a stock, it means that the stock has been going up, it's been in an uptrend, and eventually that stock has to kind of correct itself. It has to come down. It has to consolidate, like just kind of take a break. So this would be the top. Let me zoom in a little bit. So this would be the top, right? And then this would be the very bottom. So he's saying from the top to the bottom, it needs to be It ranges from a 12 to 15% drop correction, or anywhere upwards of 33%. Now, I did the calculations on this already. I'll have it on the screen somewhere, but I'll just go through it briefly. So, from this top, the high of 182, all the way to the bottom, which was 132.54, it was a 27% correction. So that as well fits in his criteria, because remember, he says it'll range from 12 to 15%, but it can also go anywhere upwards of 33%. Okay, so that checks out. Another thing that he says is strong price pattern of any type should always have a clear and definite price uptrend prior to the beginning of its base pattern. So basically, before this pattern forms, the stock should have been in a clear and obvious uptrend. Okay, so, and as you can see on the screen, prior to this happening, you can clearly see that CVX was in a uptrend. Clearly, there's no question about that. So he says with the uptrend, it should be a 30% uptrend. That's one of the things. So I did the calculation on that. It'll be on the screen, but I'll go over it briefly. I had started where did I start? Like somewhere over here where it broke out, right? And it started at $116.07. And the high of this uptrend was all the way up to $182.40. Now, from here to there, the difference was, it was a $66 move, $66.33. And that was about 36% increase. Okay, so his requirement was like at least a 30% uptrend. This one has about 36, so that checks out as well. Okay. Another thing he says is that in this, during this uptrend, there should be relative strength and increase in volume at some point during this prior uptrend. Now, I do have a indicator for volume average, and down here is my indicator for relative strength, and it compares it to the SPX. So we definitely, during the uptrend, we definitely had an increase in volume. Now, this line indicates the average volume of this stock. And at this point, it was well over the average. So we definitely had the increase in volume. And down here, for the relative strength, as you can see, we clearly had relative strength. Now, for those of you that don't know, relative strength means that although the market as a whole is going down, this stock is going up. So that is relative strength, and it is comparing it to the SPX. So the SPX is something that kind of gauges the whole market. So I will show you on SPX. Now I'm on the weekly, so we're on an uptrend here. Now if you go to SPX, during them same weeks, it was going down. So they're going down, but CVX was going up. So that clearly means CVX has had relative strength at some point during this uptrend. So that checks out as well. Okay. He also says that a good sign of a successful cup and handle pattern is that during the base of the pattern, there should be some volume drying up, meaning it should be like low volume. So if we look at the potential cup and handle, this is the base of it, right? And here goes the volume during the time of the base. And as you can see, it was very low, well under the average, and it was drying up as he calls it. So that will be another thing that checks out. Okay. He says that the handle of the pattern takes more than 1 to 2 weeks to form. So right now, this would be considered the handle, and we have 1, 2. Okay, we have 2 weeks so far. So I'll be looking next week to see, you know, if it's going to have another week of forming the handle or if it's going to start kind of going up and breaking out. So that's one thing that I'm going to be looking for next week with this stock. Now, it also says that the handle should be above the it should be above the 10-day moving average. Now, I typically, looks like I need to fix something on my indicators. See, I have the 9 and 10, so let me delete that 9 right quick. Okay, so this blue line represents the 10-day moving average. Now he says in order for this to be a successful cup and handle, the handle needs to be above the 10-day moving average. And we can see it is holding above so far. So that's good. That checks out as well. Now, also another thing with the handle, he says that the handle price should be a 8 to 12% drop that is contained. Okay. What he's saying is from the peak of when the handle starts to where it's dropping, it should only be about 8 to 12% and contained. So again, I'll have this on the screen, but this is where the handle starts. Okay, it starts at 161.86 and the lowest it went was 149.02, and I did the calculations and it was about a 8% drop. Okay, so yeah, that checks out according to his requirements as well. And when he says contained, it should be like a tight price action. Like it shouldn't be like way down here and then coming up and down. As you can see, it's very contained between, it's actually contained between the 20-day moving average and the 10-day. So that checks out. And another thing that he talks about is the pivot buy point of the pattern. So this would be where you should get in and take the trade. Now, according to him, the pivot buy point should be 5 to 10% below the peak before the handle. So I'll have the calculations again on the screen, but this would be the peak prior to the handle, which was 164.66. And I did a 5% drop of that would be an $8 drop, about 156.66. Now, currently, you can see that CVX is above that price. It's at 159.85. So, according to his strategy, you probably should have got in the trade already. I like I said, I'm gonna be watching this stock come Monday, and if it's kind of still in this price area or depending what it does, I will potentially open a swing trade on it. But yeah, we'll see. And another thing that he says is for the pivot buy point, there should be an increase in volume, like 40 to 50%. So that's what I'll be looking for too before I even take the trade, and which actually, according to his rules, if we would have got in at the 156.66, there wasn't a lot of volume that day. We can even look on the daily. Yeah, so it wasn't a lot of volume on Friday, so that's something I'll be looking for come Monday. I want to see an increase in volume before actually taking the trade as well. So, yeah. So those were the things that I'm kind of looking at and correlating with what he's saying in the book. And so, yeah, it's looking like a good trade. Anyone that's been following the oil industry, they have been doing very well these past couple months, especially with the rise of gas prices. a lot of oil companies had reported record-breaking revenue profits this last earnings. So, oil industry is doing really good right now. And a few other things that I was just kind of looking at with the stock, just on some of the things that I look at when I'm even considering taking trades. I had noticed if you look at the 4 hour, it's in a good uptrend, and it also just recently, the 50-day moving average had crossed the 200. So for those of you that know, that is called a golden cross. That is like one of the most reputable crossovers into knowing when a stock is going to be bullish. So that did happen back on the 5th, so a couple weeks ago, and clearly it has been in an uptrend since then. So that's just another sign of the stock kind of being bullish. So it just gives me more confirmation on this cup and handle pattern on the weekly breaking out. What do we see on the daily? On the daily we have this is the 20-day moving average. It's about to cross the 50. Now, anytime a lower moving average crosses a higher one, that's always a good sign, but the most reputable one is the 50 crossing the 200. So yeah, this will be interesting to watch. I'm definitely going to be having my eye on it. Typically when I trade, I trade on the intraday charts, like the 3 minute, the 5 minute, the 15 minute. Like I don't like to be in trades long. I like to get in, make my money, and get out. I will do a swing trade if the setup is there. So this would be interesting for me to do. Since I'm looking at this on the weekly, this is a perfect time frame for a swing trade. So if I take the trade, I'll be in it for a couple days. And yeah, like I said, follow my Instagram. I'm going to be doing some updates, whether I took the trade or not, what contract I bought. And we'll just see if this cup and handle actually breaks out. So yeah, I hope this video was helpful in some kind of way, because the way that I was breaking it down and how you're kind of waiting to enter into a trade based off a pattern, like this kind of works. Not what his requirements were, but the way that you wait to see that it forms, this could work with any other pattern out there. So you kind of want to be able to look through all the time frames and get some confirmation on these patterns before actually taking the trade. And I do also want to iterate on this particular video that I am speaking about potentially taking a trade. However, I am not a financial advisor. I'm not advising anyone to take a trade. Please, please, please do your own research before investing in anything. Speak with a financial advisor, whatever it is that you need to do, but do your own research. This is just for educational purposes.